Hey, what's up, people?
What's
Hello.
going on, everybody?
Hey. Howdy.
How are you all doing?
Hi. Fine.
Doing well?
Eating a whole
I
pint
don't think
of
I can
ice
hear you.
cream.
Give me a second. My audio might be connected to the wrong thing. Ah, no, I got it. I was muted. There we go. Now
Hello.
I can see and hear you all now. Cool, good stuff. On a scale from 1 to 10, whose ratings have gone up on how
I'm gonna
much
get
freaking out about coronavirus?
I got my toes in here too now.
I want to see Antonio. You're still at a 2, Antonio?
I'm just glad your socks were clean, Eric.
I'm just trying to make money on the stock market right now.
You're trying or I'm trying?
I'm trying.
Antonio is trying. Tito is succeeding.
Not what Netflix is looking like
good
today.
Financial situation, people. Yeah, I've never seen a more profitable day in the history of my life. I have predicted that this was going to get ugly, and it is getting ugly. And I am predicting it will get much uglier very soon. So I wanted to talk to all of you about it and make sure that you are ready for it. Nice. Okay, cool. Couple of different points. It's just a Q&A. Things to reiterate, right? I don't want to be like freaking Trump saying the risk is low. I think that's really stupid. I don't think the risk is low. But I think we got to be conscious about where we stand in relation to the world and where we stand in relation to other people. So when I look at all the companies out there and how they operate versus how we operate, the fact that we're remote and work from home abilities already embedded and that our workflows work that way and we have all the tools and all the Slacks and the one-on-ones are all online and all these things and all those things, I think you guys have nothing to worry about when it comes to your job. And the reason I say that is you will see people freaking out about losing their jobs and we will see unemployment skyrocket about 10% over the next 2 weeks. Mass layoffs across companies are coming, starting with the cruises that will lay off over 50% of their workforce, continuing with banks laying off 20, 30, 40%, continuing with airlines, companies declaring bankruptcy fairly quickly. I think Boeing is going down. I would short Boeing if you know how to do that. They are going to zero. There is no way in the world that Boeing is going to survive this crisis.
Yeah,
we are in a really good position. So that is good to clarify. Couple of things that I have to talk about, and I've been writing them down here, and then I thought I was going to organize my thoughts right before this, but then I was on a call with a family member, so I didn't have time. Okay, this one is really important. Then the Q&A will come after that. This will come after. I will do Q&A. Okay. Okay, I think I know the order of my thoughts at this point. We will first talk about prevention and care and things that are coming, then a warning, then we'll talk about the economy, then we'll do a Q&A, and then we'll talk about spreading the word and helping out our communities beyond our work. So that's the agenda. Things that I recommend and that I'm reading in the news. I am lucky enough to be well informed from my network at Duke University to stuff I've read in the past, lots of books from the Black Swan, from Nassim Taleb to resources from Tim Ferriss that came in, a bunch of like MDs that are like unbiased and they don't rely on NIH funding in order to do their research, which means that they can speak the truth rather than having to be controlled by government agencies. I think our government has done a horrible job because I think their hope was that they were going to like under test heavily, report a lot of coronavirus deaths as perhaps like flu deaths or other types of causes, and that it would go away because transmission wouldn't skyrocket because we have warmer weather than China. That plan has clearly failed for Donald Trump already, and that was really, really bad advice, whoever gave it to him. Yesterday, you noted the change in tone. He's worried. And what worries me the worst is that I don't think he's worried about us. I think he's worried about himself more than anything else in a few different scenarios. I think he's worried that if the economy collapses, he won't be able to be reelected, which was, I think, at the beginning, his first worry. I think he now will have to come to the understanding that there is no way in the freaking world that Trump will be reelected. That's for certain. There is no way in the world, because this has gone already out of control by the numbers. And therefore, due to the lack of leadership of our governments, I think I have given the information I have, moral responsibility to bring it to you and help you guys out as much as possible. Again, my dream and hope as a human being has always been, and you might have heard this from me a few times or many times, depending how long you've worked here, that I always say a few years from now, as you look back at your life and you say, I took that job with AltiSales, that was the best decision I ever made in my life. I am committed to always try to push my actions towards that being the case. If I'm gonna err, I rather err on the side of caution than I err on the side of risk, because we don't want to take big risks. Anyway, let's start with coronavirus precautions, cases, extrapolation of numbers, and where I am thinking this will go and how this will end up. Big recommendations. I'm gonna send a bunch of links. I unfortunately only have links for US when it comes to supplements and medications that I recommend all of you buy. I'll send those over after this. I don't think you will necessarily need them unless you get sick or family members get sick. But again, I think we'll run out of these supplies over the next 24 to 48 hours. So now is the time to buy rather than wait. First thing first, don't leave home. 0. If you're thinking of going to a restaurant and eating with friends, this is very much, especially for anybody in Europe and the US. If you're in Mexico or South America, you have another week for all these notices to like take place, but it's never a bad idea to take extra precautions. I've been quarantined in my apartment since Sunday. I have not left since Sunday. We spoke Monday. I haven't left the apartment. I've only gone in my car with full AC blowing, making sure that there's air circulating, windows open, go to the grocery store, pick up my stuff, come back. I didn't even go in and shop. I let somebody else shop. I disinfected all my groceries and like my hands as soon as I got home. Like, it's crazy. Anyway, let's start taking precautions. I recommend none of you leave home for any reason. If you're working at a co-work space, go back home. Chances are you can even cancel your subscription to the co-work space. I discourage you tremendously. I will not prohibit you from going out of your house, but I discourage you tremendously from leaving your house if you're in Europe or in the US. If you decide to leave, do not go anywhere where you'll be gathering with more than 5 people. Ideally, isolate yourselves and make this a case for everybody you know in your close family, especially. And if you live with anybody, if you have roommates, if you have family members who live with you, anything else, make sure they don't leave home. This is very, very important. Coronavirus is not necessarily very lethal with medical intervention. If you go to the hospital and there are nurses and doctors and beds with respiratory devices and the right medication and IV infusions of remdesivir, you would survive. The problem we're going to be running into in the next week is that all hospitals will be completely packed with people who are sick. You will not be able to get medical attention, no matter what cost. And it is doctors who are deciding who lives and who dies. It is a bias towards young people, because when you look at public policy and political science and moral decisions of doctors and how they're trained, they much rather grab a patient that's in their 20s or 30s and requires 2 days of meds in order to be healed and then leave the hospital. They'd rather take that patient than somebody who's in their 40s, 50s, 60s, because they have a much lower chance of surviving, and they also have way less years to live. So to maximize the welfare of the population, they will have a bias towards taking younger patients. Okay, so yep, don't leave home. Here's what the numbers are saying from estimates of growth of cases that we're gonna see. Even at the day that we decide to lock down our borders, and this implies like severe lockdowns, like China type lockdowns, meaning nobody's able to leave their home for any reason whatsoever. And we do it en masse, meaning nobody ever around you is moving. The virus will be contained within each household. And this is why I think it's so important to quarantine yourselves now. The chances of you getting contaminated or sick from somebody who's already sick are really, really high. If you live in the same space and you sit next to them for 2 hours, even without facing each other, just next to each other, the fact that you're breathing the same air, if their throats and nose are infected, you have a 70% chance of contracting the virus. It is incredibly infectious. And that is what the Trump administration was not considering. They thought the rate of spread was maybe 1.5, meaning that is called a number called the R0. The R0 is the number of people that you would infect per day if you only talk to people who are not infected, or if you only interact with people who are not infected. They've now determined that number is between 3 and 4. Before, you were only being contagious to about a person and a half. And if you get that number to under one person, math says that 0.99 to the power of infinity goes to 0. So you need that number to be under 1. They were estimating it at 1.5, and they thought they would just lie and shove dirt under the rug and cover it up and hope and pray that the number would go down with the weather. Now there's no such thing. Now they're realizing it's 3 or 4. Weather makes no difference whatsoever. People in Brazil in the middle of the summer are getting sick. This is not a flu. This is not temperature dependent. So everybody is at the same risk. So, okay, so what do we expect the number of cases? 100x to 1,000x growth, depending on how quickly we take action. If Trump tonight declares national emergency and full lockdown and no more flights, neither internal nor outside of the country, which would be crazy because tomorrow the economy would collapse 20%. He doesn't want that. We would see 100x growth in cases, and same for every other country. If he waits, and then if he waits, the cases are going to grow, so it'll be still 100x if the measurements are that severe. But I don't think he'll put severe measurements. I think he will cancel schools and cancel this and cancel that and do it slowly. And that means by the time we start canceling, it could be 1,000x growth. Statistics are saying that outside of China, we now have 55,000 cases. 1,000x growth would be 55 million people infected. And now the death rate without medical supervision is being estimated about 6 to 9%. So 55 million people infected at a 7% rate is about 5 million people dying. That is if we take action today, now, and shut it down. If we don't do that, it could be significantly worse. The cases are growing 20% day by day. So today is 5 million deaths. If we do this tomorrow, Friday, is 6 million. If we do it by Saturday, is 7.2 million. If we do it by Sunday, is 8.5 million. If we do it by Monday, is 10 million. it doubles every about 4 to 5 days. If we do it by next Thursday, it's 20 million. We do it the next Sunday, it's 40 million deaths around the world. It is crazy at the pace this is going. Okay, so that is health recommendations. There are supplements, not all of them like fully 100% tested and known to like prevent any disease or any very specific, like there's no cure. There's no way you can take something and you'll be feeling fine in a few days. But there are things that you can do to boost your immune system, to prevent the alveoli in your lungs to harden and collapse and stop taking oxygen from the air in order to help your body. And I will be sending all those to you so you can purchase them. I will also reimburse $200 to every person in the company for any medical purchases they make. You will be able to send those to Kat. Don't send them immediately. Please keep them with you. Everybody's getting $200 worth of meds or supplements or whatever you want for getting yourself feeling better and doing better.
Thank
Hey,
you.
Tito, I just want to point
Very
out
nice. Thank you.
something that might be available in like Latin America. I've been taking echinacea. I don't know if you're familiar with that. It's a natural antibiotic.
Okay.
Might be available in like Costa Rica, Bolivia, Mexico, all the places outside of the US.
Good stuff.
I have a very reliable source and lists of things that you guys should definitely buy. I can send you this an 1.5-hour video with a person in the US from Chinese background whose parents have some immunologic problems and they live like a couple of miles away from Wuhan. And he had very heavily like investigated things like MERS and SARS back in the day, the two previous diseases linked to this one. And he has a lot of recommendations. He reads a bunch of papers from the best published studies. He speaks fluent Chinese. He's reading a lot of the papers from China coming out. So this is like the best source of information coming out. And I'm happy. I think that link is not yet posted here. I will find it and I will post it. I think that is fundamental. Okay, so we've talked about health. I think we're going to be healthy. Next thing to talk about, any jokes in the company regarding coronavirus, you will be immediately terminated from this company. No tolerance whatsoever. This is not a joke. No joke for, hey, I thought it would lighten it up, or hey, I thought, I'm coping, nothing. Jokes, you are immediately let go. I'll send that email as well. Cool, important to talk about that. Okay, yes. With the estimates, I'm also expecting, when you think about the numbers, right, and how they grow exponentially, and how without medical supervision, the rates get crazier and crazier. For somebody like 65 and older, with no medical supervision, their chances of like having severe complications and dying is about 14-15%. That means 1 out of 6. That means if you know 6 people over the age of 65, chances are, in aggregate in the world, 1 will die. If you know a lot of famous actors, actresses, politicians, and so on, who are being really stupid, especially the Republicans who are shaking hands and going places and doing stuff, a lot of them will get sick. I am even afraid that Trump's already sick, given the interactions he's had with other people who have already contained the coronavirus. I don't think Trump will die because he has access to the nurses and medical emergency, and there are drugs that will keep you alive and will get you better. They're incredibly expensive and they will never be available in hospitals around the world. Remdesivir is the drug. It's provided by Gilead. It requires IV transfusion and whatever crazy stuff. So, but it will cure you. It won't cure you, but it will eliminate all symptoms, and it will give the doctors like days to help you get better. And with intubation through the throat and helping you get better, you can get the chances of dying down from the regular 3.6% in the elderly down to about 0.5 or 0.1%. So even if he's sick, if he takes all the precautions, we still have just 1 in 1,000. So I think he'll be fine. Regardless of that, I think he might be sacked from presidency. I don't think Trump will be president 10 days from now or 20 days from now, unless he takes immediate action. If he takes immediate action, he's going to be fine. If he continues to ignore and shove stuff under the rug and pretend like there's nothing there, I think the Department of Defense is going to take over the country. It's going to declare national emergency must be declared tonight or we're fucked. And then we need to shut down everything by the household, meaning unless the virus is not able to spread more than 3 to 4 other people and being contained there for 5 weeks, we're done. Okay, that's all health-wise, politicians, what's happening. Cases, expectation of deaths around the world in the millions. Right now in the US, if today we were to do a shutdown completely, it would be 25,000 deaths, which isn't horrible. I don't think a shutdown is coming tonight. If we do it in 4 days, just in the US, it's 250,000. I see many more deaths from countries outside the US, which don't have medical health care or medical supplies. For people in Bolivia, I'm very afraid. We don't have, luckily, our president has taken good steps. We've shut down a lot of stuff, but it is one of the places where you should be most afraid. There's not going to be stuff. So you got to buy medicine. And yeah, I highly recommend that. Cool. Let's talk about the economy and what's about to happen, because I think we are in the verge of the next Great Depression. In 1930, the stock market went down 88%. And I am having a low estimate that we will go down 60% from our heights. We are at the moment at 28%. So I expect a doubling the drop that we've already had. And this could come in the next weeks. And then it will be aggravated for a long time, and then it will start recouping not before a year. I would not go long any position in the stock outside of some coronavirus place. If you're super crazy, I think Netflix usage is going to go up like crazy. I think things like Activision Blizzard are going to be used by kids for a lot. I think Zoom video communications is going to be freaking amazing.
I was actually looking at that. I saw a chart. I was gonna post that on LinkedIn. I'll send you guys what I was looking at.
Here's what I don't recommend doing. Do not worry about the stock market if you're not a investor, if you're not a big expert here and you have a lot of experience. This is the worst time to invest. It gets super emotional. The financial institutions are purposefully creating swings in the market to destroy positions and get people emotional. So gold has gone down 4% for no reason whatsoever. It should be up 10, 15, 20%. I lost a lot of money in gold. Luckily, I've made 10 times X that in my other positions, but literally gold was a sure bet and it went down 4%. Lost all my money there overnight. Boom. This has happened to me before. I made the same mistake in 2016 with the USD to the Japanese yen. It was a sure bet. But here's what happens when you have a sure bet. When everybody knows it's a sure bet, all the bankers and all the institutions, they take advantage of the small investors who don't have millions of dollars to cover their positions. So they'll shoot you down the other way 10%. They'll get you to freak out. You'll sell. As soon as enough people sell and get emotional, which is very predictable because humans have the same reactions to similar swings, you will decide, you'll say, oh, I'll enter once it continues going this direction. It will turn around very quickly. It'll go the other way. In moment of hours, we will have swings, and I don't recommend anybody investing. What does this mean for our economy? Mass layoffs like crazy. I think unemployment is going to go through the roof. I don't think we're going to have food shortages anytime in the next month or two, but food supplies will increase in price by 20, 30%. And the closer we get to running out of food, the higher the hikes in food prices. So having a reserve at home, yet still trying to shop right now that prices are low and trying to bring food in and don't start eating your storage stuff is a really good idea. You'll see crazy amounts of people losing their jobs, not having money to pay for stuff. it's going to be sad. Banks are going to go down like crazy. There's going to be lots of bankrupt banks. There's way too many corporate loans, way too many credit card loans. A lot of people are going to start buying shit on credit card. They're going to lose their jobs very, very soon. Credit card companies are going to go bust like crazy. Yep, it's the Great Depression. Again, I estimate maybe an 88% down in the Dow Jones, which means that we're at a height of $30,000 or 30,000 points. We are down to 20,000 as of right now. So there's been a 33% down. And I think it can get down to as low as like 3,000 or 2,500. So is it the moment to buy stocks? No whatsoever. What will you see in the media? You'll see the complete opposite. Buy the dip. Is the great moment to invest. We will recoup. Trump will say, oh, we're ready for a rebound. We will rebound anytime. That is bullshit. They just don't want people to take their money out because that will increase the pace of the drop, and it will be catastrophic for billionaires and investors and institutions that have like way too much money in there. I think the right money is to take your money out, put it in different in banks that are FDIC insured. I think we will get FDIC insured, $250,000 per bank account. So as long as you're with a reliable bank like Wells Fargo, Bank of America, anything like that in the US, or any reliable banks in Europe or in Mexico, you'll be fine. If you're banking with a tiny bank that does loans, especially corporate loans, be very careful. I think your banks could go bust. And if you, well, I hope that none of you have over $250,000 in a bank account. If you do, you should have become an investor in AltiSales way a very long time ago. But anyway, that is just sound economic advice. If you have wealthy parents, family, cousins, brothers that won the lottery or whatever, help them understand some of these things. For us, again, we're getting more inbound inquiries than ever. Hash can say that. Hash, how is our inbound flow going?
It's going a lot better than usual. We got like 4 inquiries in the last 24 hours alone.
That's right. I'm not afraid about our company. We're in really healthy situation. I am going to be sending an email to clients explaining that I expect demos to go down next week. I think it's going to be really bad. I'm asking all of you to have much more empathy with clients. If you call and you say, hey, do you have a few minutes? They're like, are you fucking crazy? Don't call me. Don't call them, and don't call anybody at their company. Don't necessarily finish them, but snooze everybody at that company for about 2 weeks. Because there's going to be companies that are telling their employees, hey, everything is good. Hey, you can take demos, you can do stuff. And there's going to be companies that are like, prepare the fuck up. Like, we are going down if we don't take big measurements. Also, with the high increase in unemployment coming in the past weeks, you will find that a lot of people you might be booking demos with will be without a job. A fifth of your demos won't have a job in like a month. So try to schedule 3-4 weeks out. This is like the best I can tell you. I see point increases coming very soon to all your campaigns. We are on the side of generosity as always. Funny enough, I was talking about this on Monday. I think with emergency, we'll get our AltiSales Federal Reserve to pump more points into our point economy. I think that is the right thing. I think our clients will be fine. I'll be sending an email explaining the situation, saying that I'm asking you to be less pushy. We still have all the data, so I don't think the clients will be pissed. We'll just show them all the call recordings, which is very important. Hey, we made the 500 calls this week. 7 people said, fuck you, piss off, go to hell. I stopped calling all their companies. Here's how many long conversations I had. Our conversion rates for long conversations to demos are still as good as ever. Your campaign's still healthy, it works. We just need the panic to go away. And I think that'll help us retain clients. Also, tons of budgets are moving from events and conferences. Outreach spends, I think, $5 or $7 million in that outreach conference event. And they get millions of dollars in sponsorship as well. You know where those $7 million are going? Inside sales. And that is just one company. You'll see millions and millions and millions being poured into our company. I think this might be the next 4 weeks are going to be tough, or maybe 6 or 2. I don't know how long it's going to take until people like stop panicking. But I think this is going to be the most profitable year in the history of our company. We have a lot of contracts about to renew. A lot of clients that I signed with a good discount. Discounts are out. We're going to have so many inquiries, we won't be able to hire enough SDRs. We have been very lucky hiring Chris, getting Zach and Jamie here ready. We're going to thrive. We're like the best bet. If you're going to put your money in something, it's like gold and AltiSales. And I think AltiSales is gold as a company. So it's gold or gold.
Not actual gold, because that's down, but the gold that Tito's invested in where it's gone way up.
Just keep the optimism in AltiSales. We're doing great. I'm not taking any new meetings this week. Maybe one on Friday at 4:30 p.m. after markets close and news are out and all that. But other than that, all meetings that I'm participating in have been postponed. Cool. Other than that, I think that's it. I think that's the status of health, the virus, the deaths, the economic impact, our company, our provisions, what we're doing, how we're approaching clients, me messaging clients, you guys being very careful with prospects, pushing back, scheduling out anybody who's really pissed about you calling them, or expect people to be very angry. And if we get too many words from the front lines, if you guys let us know, hey man, I connected with 4 people, 3 people told me I'm the biggest fucking idiot for calling them this week. What do I do? Do I keep calling? Bring that feedback. Every time somebody says, hey, fuck off, post a call in the general channel and say, hey, somebody just got really pissed. Just a heads up, it's this company. It might help us out, as many people might be reaching to similar companies. And if I see too many, we're just gonna call it a day. We're gonna shut everything down, calls and emails for a few days. Your employment, again, is not a risk. We're gonna be the most profitable company ever. You'll continue to get paid. Use that time to take care of your family, get healthy, eat well, do your shopping, take your vitamins and stuff like that, and then we'll take care of the clients ourselves. Last thing to talk about is protein consumption. It seems like protein is really good in the fight of coronavirus in case you get infected. The reason why young people are not dying at the same rate as old people is because of the thymus gland in our body. It's a gland that a lot of people don't talk about. It's in the middle of your chest. It's a gland that's very active when you're young. It starts declining as you start approaching 40 years old, depending on your age. And the older you get, the less activity it has. In Spanish, glándula timo. There's not a lot of information or research or whatever else, but it is known that if you consume, it requires amino acids to produce what they call beta 1s, which is what's fighting the coronavirus inside the bodies of people, or the ones that are surviving. And these are papers that are in China, coming out of labs, being right now translated into English, and only the hands of a very few MDs who will communicate this first to the government. The government will analyze the information, ingest it, and they will communicate it to the public in a few days, or maybe they'll even decide not to communicate it because it will create a short supply of protein. But I don't mean go and eat all the protein you have, but please don't restrict your protein intake. Really good idea to be eating things like tuna and chicken. You might have seen the picture I sent. I have 150 or 200 cans of tuna in that cabinet up there. So don't go short on protein. For our vegan friends, including Zach, pile up on beans and nuts and whatever else you need. We need you healthy and happy in a month.
What about an
protein powders
amino
and stuff?
acid supplement?
Amino acid supplements are excellent.
Okay, I take one of those.
Protein shakes are really good too.
Yeah, I take a bit of collagen as well.
Collagen? I have not heard anything on collagen from my sources, but
There's a bunch of amino acids in it.
Yeah, collagen. And you
Not
won't get
familiar with
wrinkly.
But okay, cool. I think obviously it's highly contagious. Touching doorknobs, handles, computers, stuff like that, and touching your eyes, you can get it. Wash your hands every time you get out of your house and come back. You can get it from even breathing. Like, you don't even need to touch somebody. If you're like face to face with somebody and somebody's like, do you want a drink? And they're like, and you're like, done. You have coronavirus. It is crazy. A lot of the masks out there don't even protect from the molecules that are this small to get it contained, right? Now, chances are if you cover your mouth with something and they are covering their mouth with something, you'll be fine. If you're covering but they're not covering, you can still possibly get it, because if they somehow spit in your eyebrow or in your face and then you touch your face and then you like grab your chicken nugget and put it in your mouth, the amount of virus like per like droplet of water is ginormous. So like tiny things can infect you. It's ridiculously contagious, and that's why the spread of it is 1 to 3. Anyway, we've gone over time. I wanted 30 minutes. We're at about 40. I want to open up for Q&A and just get your thoughts and see if there's anything I know I can tell you. That was all the information I recollected over the past 5 days. All that information has been given as of right now only to my very close family and now you guys, and then I might make it widely available to the public in the next 48 hours or so, as I am worried beyond my family and you guys about the general community, and we need to take action now. The way to stop this is quarantine yourselves. Everybody, nobody should be leaving the house. There's a really good 8-minute video that I will send to all of you that explains how coronavirus spreads and the exponential growth and how it becomes a logarithmic growth later on.
Well,
Cool.
in Costa Rica, for example, there are 22 confirmed cases. Our president isn't really doing anything. Everybody's walking in and out of the airport like nothing. Schools are normal. Everything's normal. So, like, I wonder how to really enforce like a quarantine when I'm here, but I'm still sending my kids to school because everybody else is sending, their kids to school. They haven't declared, a shutdown in any of that except for massive events like concerts and stuff like that. But other than that, everything's just going like normal, even though I think we have more cases than almost any other country in Latin America, and we only have like 6 million people.
Yeah, here's my recommendation. I gave this recommendation to my cousin who called me today, freaking out about like, do I live my normal life? Do I go? My brother is in college at Villanova University. They're having normal classes. They're partying it up at night. They're throwing like pool parties because it's spring break. Spring break across the United States will get so many students sick. It is insanity. You will see it. It's going to be ridiculous. In 5 days, every country will shut down. Every country, it's like if your country has over 1,000 cases, if you're Europe or the United States, if the country doesn't shut down in like 5 to 7 days, by next Sunday, this epidemic will be so ridiculously deadly even in those countries, even in first world countries, that it would be insane for them not to declare it. The doctors will like force Trump out of moral duty. They will go out. Candidate Sanders has already said that it is a moral imperative to declare national state of emergency tonight. So what I will tell you is, if you're at 22 cases, it might not sound like much, but you're likely at 100 cases or 500 cases. For countries that are under testing, they're estimating a 27x multiple on the cases. Regardless of that, in 2 weeks, the schools will shut down, which means your kids will not finish the semester. And if you have siblings or kids, they will not finish the school year no matter what. They also don't have the capabilities to go remote for anybody who's like under 18 or not in college. It's so hard to enforce it. You will not have a problem if you stop taking your kids to school today. The risk to continue to take them is incredibly high, and the potential loss of not taking them is so ridiculously low, because this will for sure become a pandemic and it will kill millions of people in several countries. So your school supervisor or principal will not be like, oh, you skipped school 2 weeks, and you're like, well, there was a global pandemic and I was worried about like my family dying. They won't be like, no, you're dismissed from school. That would be like just the stupidest measurement in the world. So my recommendation, stop taking your kids to school today. Like, don't allow them to go tomorrow. But by Tuesday, all schools across the country are shut down in the US for sure. Maybe by tomorrow night.
They've announced a lot of online learning around us for sure already.
Yeah, I mean, in the States, they have the capacity of doing that. Here, we're definitely not nowhere near a first world country. It's not going to happen. Like there's just no school. The dollar is already, colon is going down it went down 9 colones. You know about that because you lived here in Costa Rica, Tito. So 9 colones is what it went down from yesterday to today. So I mean that's definitely a little concerning, because even if our jobs are safe, like if the colon starts dropping and dropping and dropping, it's still,
you'll see ridiculous inflation across the world. Currencies will devalue like crazy. That's why gold as a item is a safe haven. But I don't think gold. I think gold will be incredibly volatile. It will destroy lots of people who are trying to like ride the wave. And yes, if you look at it, like the colon has gone from 569 to 572, or from let me see. This is a month. It really hasn't moved that much. Maybe. Oh yeah, it's now into 566. Yeah, it's moving. The Mexican peso has moved like crazy. It's now at 22 pesos as of today, and you'll see it climb to 30. I think this will get out of hand, out of control.
But what I see is that in some countries, like it's more per dollar, but in some countries it's less. Like here in Costa Rica, it's being less by dollar. Like my friend in Colombia told me that it's going crazy. Like she's getting more per dollar than she was within a day, like a lot more. But here it's the other way around. It's less money per dollar.
It will turn around very quickly. You're seeing the Costa Rican currency is still pretty stable between 565 and 575. So it means it hasn't moved more than like 2%. The Mexican peso has skyrocketed 40%. If in any case, like the currency goes to shit, or it becomes stronger against the dollar, which would be crazy, you all get paid in dollars, I'll find a way to help you. You have my commitment to make sure that you are doing well.
Okay, thank you.
Cool. Any other questions? I know there was a lot of information, and I will post all the links in the channel right now for supplements and informational links. I do want to post that other video.
I'll say thank you for $200 supplement stipend, medicine stipend.
Thanks for that.
Thank you very much.
I mean, there's been a lot of talk about this, and so like to some degree, it's like every time it comes up, rightfully so, it's somewhat panic inducing for me because hypochondriac, and I've got young kids and parents that are over 60 and things along those lines. And so when you start thinking about the ramifications, it's really anxiety inducing. But I appreciate like giving enough information for us to take it more seriously take it as seriously as we should sooner than we should. And for every opportunity being generous and doing more than I've ever heard any company do for employees for stuff like this.
Absolutely agree.
It's kind of absurd how generous the company is. And I know that's our main goal. So we continue to live by our core values. So I just want to say thank you, because that's coming straight from Tito.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Gracias.
Cool. I just posted a bunch of stuff in don't freak out. This stuff is not going to run out in the next like hours. It will run out in like buy it today. instead of tomorrow. And again, like all the supplements that I'm recommending, and like do a little bit of your research. Here is the full list of things that they recommend buying. There's some medications too. Let's see if that file works. Yeah. This is from the guy in the last video that I'm posting in the resources. So again, this might take you guys, it took me several hours to investigate, to find reliable sources, to do all that. I recommend you first buy the supplements and find ways to mitigate risk. And then if you are very curious about those videos, you can, I recommend you watch them. I think at least the 8-minute video that I posted up there, it says very informative 8-minute video. And then the one that says the most important article from Thomas Cuello. Those are two like must read. They were already in my email signature a couple of days ago. So you all should have read it. But if you haven't, now's the time. And yeah, cool. Let's take more questions.
Do you know like what can we get in Bolivia? Like I know like
yes,
we're not here.
Chloroquina. This is not available in the US. Chloroquine. Chloroquine, zinc. It's the same supplements they're saying here, except you should add chloroquine. Chloroquine is it's a treatment for malaria, and is widely available in places where malaria is common, which means most likely Eastern Bolivia rather than Western, and then a lot of Africa has it. It is not 100% proven that it will work, and it has very difficult side effects. So it is not something I'm recommending you buy and start taking mindlessly. The supplements, I think you can buy and at least ratio yourself like consciously and you'll be fine. This is not a moment to panic and start taking too many meds. We're seeing a lot of deaths around the world from overdoses, even from alcohol overdose. People are like, I gotta clean my throat with alcohol. And dying from alcohol poisoning. Like it's that stupid. It's happening in Iran like crazy. But chloroquina is the supplement. And go to a pharmacy and say you need medication for malaria. It's also quite inexpensive in third world countries. You should be able to find it for about 10 cents of $1 per pill. So about like 70 cents of a Boliviano in Bolivia or in other countries in Latin America. In the US, I don't think you'll be able to get it. I think you need medical prescription. And don't just try to go buy it off of somewhere else. You can get, these things are toxic. And
so this is not a prevention method. It's like just to stock.
For prevention, here's what you need. And here's what you have to do if you get sick. For prevention, you need to eat very well, eat a lot of vegetables and vitamins and like fruits and like good protein sources, like eat clean and healthy. If you can start buying like chicken breasts or chicken thighs and then like literally spinach and some like blueberries and whatever else, eat that and that will do well. Sleep well. It is a deprived immune system that is like most vulnerable. So sleep your 8 hours. If you do get sick or start feeling headaches or whatever, sleep more and eat even healthier. And then oxygen helps a lot. This is a lung problem. So anything with oxygen can help you out a lot, which is also very dangerous in Bolivia because our employees are at 12,000 feet high. So it is, it's dangerous. So my family has oxygen tanks at home. I myself, even here in Miami, I bought myself a couple of like oxygen things for like climbing, a machine that concentrates oxygen and whatever else. But yeah, if you eat well and you sleep well, you should be fine. And then those supplements should help. If you do get coronavirus and you're in critical condition, you're unable to breathe and you feel like you're gonna pass out, chloroquine can save you. It is a last resource, highly like, I don't know, a highly potent drug with very bad side effects. Might get you puking and feeling horribly bad, but at least it will save your life if you're like in the last steps. And it's not even like 100% proven. There's like, it's very early stage testing. They're seeing encouraging results. They can't call it a yes or a no. Kind of like when 2 emails, one has 7 responses, the other one has 6, and you don't know if the 7 is better than the 6, and you're like, I think so, but I'm not for sure. It could be that chloroquine is effective and it will save you. It could be that it was placebo and it didn't really work. So at 55 bolivianos for 80 pills, I would buy it. The doses is 500 milligrams. Again, if anybody's sick or feeling bad, contact me. I will give you all my reliable information. I'm not a doctor. I try not to play one in the internet. I try not to like give neither financial advice nor like medical advice. Consult your doctors and all that, right? However, I will give you from the bottom of my heart what I would do if you were my mom, my friend, my brother, my like somebody super, super close to me. I will tell you what I would tell them. You can be 100% sure of me giving you strong recommendations.
Perfect. Thanks.
Cool. More questions?
So if I was your sister and you were giving her financial advice, so not like what if most of my like, reliability fund is in a Roth IRA right now, what would you do?
Roth IRA. I don't know because I don't know how your Roth IRA is.
It's all long-term stuff.
If it's all long-term, you're perfectly fine and you're lucky.
Okay.
Like government bonds, treasuries, all those, they will not collapse 90%. If you were telling me, hey, I put all my life savings into Apple yesterday, I would tell you you're like the stupidest person in the world. Not even Apple, no tech company will do well. Heads up, WeWork is dead. Uber might be dead. Lyft might be dead. You will see Uber pull out of like the majority of the countries and cities they're in. They will have to fire so many people to survive, and you'll be able to buy Uber stock for pennies soon. Because obviously, like don't leave your house. Even worse, don't leave your house on an Uber. You don't know who sat there, who coughed all over the seat, who grabbed the door handle. You don't know if your freaking driver is sick and you don't know it, and the air circulating around him for 2 hours with the windows closed didn't get you sick. Nobody's getting in an Uber. A lot of I think hotels and airlines will be bailed out just because fucking Trump has too many hotels and he's like the biggest asshole in the world, right? I think airlines will go down and cruises are dead. Like there will be no cruise companies for like a good while.
Like
And yes, Chris, you're not going on that cruise in a month. There is no fucking way. You'll see
about
that
Airbnb?
It's already canceled probably, but and they're laying off like 80 to 90% of their employees, if not more. These companies are fucked.
Airbnb, thoughts?
Airbnb, I wouldn't recommend it. No, I don't know how good the hygiene might be. Why would you need an Airbnb? Isolate yourself from like.
I was talking about shorting the stock more so. I'm canceling my Airbnb.
I don't recommend shorting anything. Keep your money in cash. If you have less than 250K, you should be fine with your bank if your bank is big. If you have more than 250K, split it across different banks. If you're afraid that you're at a small bank and it might go down and take your money with them, take your money out, put it under your under your mattress and just use it from there. Cash is king right now. Having a bank that you can use any ATM or whatever else and stuff like that could be helpful. ATMs might run out of money as people can't go back and refill ATMs. Like it can get quite wild. I don't think we're there yet where you need to start taking like provisions of like, hey, am I going to be able to have electricity and water? I think those are going to be completely fine for the whole time and no problems whatsoever. But like access to cash could be a problem. And if a few banks go down, I feel like grocery stores might not be able to even take credit cards to, like, they'll stop taking credit cards. You got to pay cash. Everything's more expensive. So having cash on hand might be helpful in a little bit. Obviously, credit card companies are also going to stop giving credit to anybody. They're going to, whatever credit limit you have on your credit card, be it $1,000 or $5,000 or $50,000, it'll get cut by like 90%, like this.
They haven't closed the Guatemalan embassy here in Madrid, so my wife's still being forced to go to work, but I would prefer her not to go. And
ask her to follow me on Instagram. She's gonna shit her pants. I usually don't like employees following me on Instagram because I like separating my personal life from my work life. For the next 2 weeks or 5 weeks, follow me on Instagram. I don't think that's a horrible idea. I'm not sharing anything outside of like coronavirus stuff. Don't obsess too much looking at my newsfeed, please.
What would you recommend she tell her boss to like close the embassy? Because like there's no reason why they should have the embassy open right now.
I don't know. I don't necessarily have a great strategy. I would go as far as saying that she should maybe say that you are feeling sick and due to, what are they calling it? Extreme precautions or an abundance of precaution, or what is it? An abundance of care. She should say that you are feeling fairly sick and you're coughing, and that out of an abundance of care, she will be working from home because she doesn't want to probably get everybody else sick. I don't think any boss is going to be like, no, I want you in the office here without virus.
Well, the thing is, like,
in my face.
The embassy, so they have to shut down the embassy if she's not there, because she has to sign every single piece of paper that enters and leaves the embassy. So.
I would
e-signature. Call Citrix. Set her up with a hello sign.
Sorry, was that a joke?
Don't fire me. I'm sorry.
The amount of international news an embassy has, I mean, what else do they need to get convinced?
You gotta understand, these are governments. Governments don't use hello sign and
they can't.
Technology.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: El Salvador has already closed all schools. Spain has already closed all schools.
Guatemala's already shut down their country. No one could enter Guatemala unless you're a Guatemalan citizen.
You guys might have seen this link before I sent it over. It's in my email signature, in my autoresponder. This is a number. This tracks very well the number of cases reported per day, per location, and the number of deaths, which is the scariest part. Spain today reported 850 cases, going from 2,200 to 2,300 to 3,100. That's a 30% increase. Every day you're out there, you're 30% more likely to get coronavirus. That means that you double your rate every 2.5 days. It is insanity. I would just have her say that you are very sick at home and she's taking care of you and she's afraid she has the virus and that she doesn't want to get the embassy contained and leave. By any means, Monday, the embassy is going to be closed. There's no way the embassy is going to be working by Monday or by Tuesday.
I agree.
So I would already contain her tomorrow if you can. If not, I would tell you to ask her to please wear a mask, wash her hands, do not be in contact with a lot of people, be even careful with the documents. Another even crazier thing for everybody in the US, be careful with your mail. Even the virus could live in your mail for like days. So if you're receiving packages from Amazon, I have tons of them. If you're receiving packages from Amazon, it's nuts. Like you touch the packages and you got to wash your hands. Like don't touch your face after touching the packages. You might get infected. It's crazy. Today, the increase in cases is around 8,000. And I predicted this yesterday. I told my brother, I think it's going to be 8,000 on Thursday and 10,000 on Friday. What that means is out of those 80,000 or 81,000 are in China. So that means that outside of China, as of yesterday, we had 46,000. Today we have 54,000. That's a 20% increase. And this is with poor testing. Once testing gets right, this will start increasing at a 25, 30, 35% rate day over day. Literally, we'll be constrained to our houses in a week. So I'm just giving you the time so you're early. And there's a story, and I posted this on my Instagram. There are some reasons to freak out because this is a really bad epidemic. But there's some reasons, especially for us, not to freak out. There's a sad but true analogy where two hunters are walking in the woods, and suddenly a lion comes out, or two people are walking in the woods and suddenly a lion comes out. The lion looks at them and they see how the lion is like, and it starts running towards them. And one of them says, holy shit, we're dead. There's no way you're going to run faster than the lion. And the other friend says, I don't need to run faster than the lion. I just need to run faster than you. And he starts running. And this is literally what's happening in the world right now. I think there's about 100 million to 1 billion lions that will get us sick. So we can either start crying about the fact that the lion's going to attack us and just not move, creating analysis paralysis, and you will get eaten by the lion. Or you inform yourself earlier than anybody else, you take the corresponding actions, and you start taking steps away from the lion faster than anybody else. You don't need to run faster than the lion. You just need to run faster than anybody else. So nobody's wearing masks in La Paz, Bolivia. Start fucking wearing a mask. Nobody is like worried about this weekend's party because it's going to be all fine. Worry about this weekend's party. Right? That's the way to think about it. Be 3 steps more cautious than anybody else. And if you do that, we're not going to run out of food. If you have enough supplies at home, the government, as soon as everybody starts running out of food, they got to supply it somehow. Like the army will start going houses and giving food. And it might be limited and it might be expensive, but there will be food. It's not like the whole country is going to die out of like lack of food. But you having 3 times more food than anybody else, or you having more supplies, or you being better prepared, will ensure that when food prices go up or food supplies are short or the distribution of food is low, at least you're hedging your bets and hedging your risk. And if you're in the 1% most prepared people in your city, that means that chances are that before you're at a really high risk of dying, perhaps 20% of the people need to die, right? And then you're at a mid risk. And then like if 60% of people die, then you're at a high risk. Well, that's a really good idea. Be in the top 1% most prepared. Don't be in the bottom percent one least prepared. It's just 5 days in between the most prepared and the least prepared. The most prepared have a really high chances of surviving, thriving, being well, not suffering economic problems, not suffering health problems, not suffering family problems. The least prepared who are reacting 5 days later. It's so sad, but we're going to see millions of people die around the world. Anyway.
What are the initial symptoms? I mean, I know some of them off the top of my head, but prior to hospitalization, what's there to look out for?
So the older you get, the more significant the symptoms are going to be, but that doesn't mean necessarily that if you don't have any symptoms that you're safe. The best way to test yourself is how well your lungs are doing. Like they're seeing people in their 20s and 30s dying with no symptoms. And they're dying out of 2 different causes. One is a heart failure. And it's a heart failure that they're having, not because like they're having necessarily 2 very, very big like heart problems, but because they're having lung problems and they're not taking care of their health, and they're like running around, they're in panic, they're like doing a lot of activity, raising their blood pressure, and that's creating a heart failure because they don't have enough oxygen and your heart is just beating way too fast, you get a heart attack. Even people in their 20s and 30s when they are with the virus, because their lungs are not responding. People in their 20s, 30s don't die from respiratory failure. You can get a contraction, you can get pulmonary damage, but you will not necessarily like be so bad and die. And your thymus gland will help fight the thing. So, yeah. So I think, what was the question again?
initial symptoms to look out for?
Oh yeah, the one thing you need to check with yourself is take a very, very deep breath and try to hold your breath for 10 seconds without coughing. If you can't cough, if you don't cough, you're fine. If you start coughing or you can't hold your breath or you feel shortness of breath or you feel like your heart's like going really fast, you might have already coronavirus. And then, yes, going a little bit above and beyond these supplements might be a good idea.
Thank you.
Anybody who wants to go is free to go. I'll stick around answering all and every question that I can here for anybody else. Stay safe, and obviously, if you need to go shopping further or buy stuff online, whatever, go ahead, take action. That's the most important.
What would you say about takeout food?
Takeout food, really good question. Not heavily dangerous. You would only get infected if the person who prepared your food is actually sick and it's coughing in your food, which, like, any restaurant that is even slightly conscious about it would dismiss that employee. If they are asymptomatic and they're preparing food for you, you should be fine. You can only get contagious from asymptomatic from breathing the same air for extended period of time, or like touching or kissing or whatever, you know what I mean? But then preparing your food, unless they're spitting on it, you'll be fine.
Would you, like, if you got something tonight for takeout in Miami, would you reheat it before you ate it?
No.
No. The other question I would have would be, like, I mean, more than the physical impact, because like staying safe and healthy and all that kind of stuff is one thing, but economic impact for, like, my retired parents whose their entire life and their well-being is wrapped up in stock market.
Devastating.
Yeah.
Devastating.
Yeah.
This will be the worst financial crisis in the history. I think maybe in the history, or it will be definitely the second biggest. We're already at a 30% drop.
Yeah.
And it will go, and literally as soon as I put this thing at 415 so I could see the markets close. Obviously, I'm heavily invested in the market.
Yeah.
Markets closed 10% down, and as soon as they closed, I got a notification saying Microsoft trading 10% below market after market close. The reason why companies aren't selling their stock faster is because there's like these stop options in the market, and those are preventing it from falling. This would have fallen 50% overnight. It was on one case, it was a very big bubble. I've been calling this bubble for a long time. You can see my first post on the coronavirus on July 31st, 2019.
Oh yeah, it's been well over a couple of years. The bubble.
Yeah, I said we're in a stupid bubble. This is going to explode. I never thought the Nasdaq would go over 8,400. It reached 9,800, right? So now it's at 7, which I think is a mild correction, just if we were in a regular bubble exploding. The problem is that we are seeing not only a bubble explode, because a minor event over the next year and a half would have exploded the bubble. We're seeing a ridiculously big event exploding the bubble. So it just
how would you advise me to advise my dad on something like that, to say, like, hey, you should do your own research into what, to see what you would want to do with your investments to mitigate loss?
Jamie, the problem is I don't know, because I don't know what his portfolio looks like. I don't know how much is stocks versus bonds versus treasuries versus tips versus whatever else. These retirement funds have very complex positions in like so many different like types of funds that I could tell you just move everything to gold, and then the market's going crazy. They're trying to destroy positions in gold. They go down. The market is so unpredictable. The VIX is so high that the only thing I would tell you is, like, grab cash. But in a retirement fund, grabbing cash has really bad penalties. So even if you try to grab cash out of the market, they will be hurt badly. So I think it's lose or lose or lose or lose. And I don't know where you're going to lose less. But I'm like very afraid of giving you any advice in that regard, because.
Yeah, I understand.
I don't see it. I don't have a clear path to.
Well, let's keep us all employed so I can help them.
Let's do that. I think we can do that.
On the topic of a retirement fund, on the topic of a retirement fund, it's only a penalty if you don't pay it back. So you can take it out and then pay yourself back interest, and then you're paying yourself, a return.
That depends on the fund.
I don't know how that works.
Yeah,
a lot of them you have to be over 59.5 unless it's like a certain cause, like first home purchase, depending on the state.
Well, yeah, there's a limit.
Yeah, but it's usually 59.5 and you can only do it once. But that's like why the worst downshift ever was the Great Depression. It took 5 years for the market to get back to where it was. So if this was the second depression, think 4 years to get back to where it was. So you would either want to withdraw now or have cash to offset.
Back to where it was not at its peak, but before the bubble even started.
There you go. Yeah.
So to get back to its peak, it took like 12 years or 15 years or something crazy.
Yeah, even worse then.
Yeah, it's really it is gonna be. I think this is gonna be devastating. I know friends who are heavily leveraged in like real estate. Real estate will go to shit.
Nothing.
Real estate will cost nothing. One, because illiquid markets. Like everybody will lose so much money that like people will need cash, and the selling of houses to try to move to a smaller house will be ridiculous. And then second, for the number of deaths this can cause. I think we can see a shrinking population of even 1%. And that's ridiculous for a market, right? I think 3 million, like we're a 350 million person country with half of us getting infected, which is what Germany is already predicting will happen in Germany, on a 6% to 9% death rate. We're seeing about 3 or 4% of the population in the US itself dying, and that's about 10 million people. Like there will be nobody will want housing, and anybody who owns like multiple apartments, multiple houses, multiple whatever, they want to liquidate. I have a friend in North Carolina, Chad Floyd, who used to work with me at Citrix. He's been buying houses like crazy. He's like, yeah, we'll never see another housing crash. He must be shitting his pants so bad because he has like 7 or 8 apartments. He's like fully leveraged to like the max. He is going to lose. He's going to have to declare bankruptcy. He's going to have to like foreclose all those properties by the end of the year. It's going to be a really good buying opportunity for housing by the end of the year. I would not buy stocks until like sometime next year, likely, unless we really control it well, but which could mean 4-6 months. But I'm expecting a really, really bad turnout of events here. Anyway.
Tito, can you mention that again, the name of that, the drug that you said it was intended for malaria, but it's also like could be used. It'll make you sick at first, but.
Correct. Chloroquine, and you have to take it in combination with zinc. The information about zinc is already in the picture that I sent with supplement recommendations. I sent you all the links to all the supplements. You can buy the gadgets if you want. And yeah, the zinc is good, and then chloroquine requires good levels of zinc to even work.
Yeah,
but yeah, I don't think
I take zinc.
Yeah, if you're concerned about your parents in India, I would highly recommend chloroquine. Yes, or family in India.
Or not my parents are here, but I do have family there on my dad's side, so I'll pass that on to them. Thank you. This is really informative.
Yeah, I have a good friend from Pune as well. I'm gonna send this over to him.
Yep.
There's a lot of cases there. Cool. More questions? Anybody else?
I looked up chloroquine. Is it called hydrochloroquine, or
I
had trouble finding it?
Chloroquine, and there's other different compounds of chloroquine. If you watch the hour-long video, hour and 15 minutes, I think it is, that I posted in the channel. This guy goes into it. I think his name is Brandon Wong or something like that. Yeah, I don't remember. You can look it up a little bit better. I don't think that will run out of short supplies anytime soon because it's very unknown. It's very early stage in clinical trials. That is like the true moonshot. It's like 7 emails got positive on one. The other one got 6. we're hoping that this is the 7 that is better than the 6. And the 6 is like doing nothing, right? 6 is like, yeah, you just chill at home and sleep well and rest well. If you get sick, just resting is the best thing. Just don't exhaust yourself. Don't run around. Don't freak out. Don't call every doctor. Don't elevate your heart rate, and don't breathe a lot. Like, meaning don't like do exercise that will get you to breathe a lot. Don't be running around the house. Just lay down, sleep it out for 3 weeks, eat good food, and just sleep. If you start coughing, you start feeling bad, that's the best formula, and take good supplements. There's no cure.
Would you recommend continuing to work out if you were in like home gym scenarios and that kind of stuff in your well?
Or jog around the neighborhood? Even that?
Yes, nothing that will exhaust you. So don't do reps to failure if you're doing CrossFit. If you're running, don't go run 7 miles. Do a quick jog, do some push-ups. Stay active so you stay sane, but don't try to run a marathon this weekend. And this is very important for you, Zach, too, as I know you. I think, Zach, you probably have like the best lungs. Your VO2 must be like super, super high, so you're in good condition. VO2 is the capacity of your lungs to absorb oxygen from the atmosphere as you're running. So if you are a runner, you have really, really good lungs, you're in good position. I have really bad lungs. I can't run for shit, which saddens me. But this is not the time to try to build up your endurance. You are where you are. That's it. Don't get exhausted.
Is it also confirmed that this is something that is only passed from human to human? You can't get it from like pet, like animals, like dogs or cats.
I don't know if you can get it from animals. That is a really good question. I have not seen anything regarding that. We got it from bats, and it was a combination of genetic mutation between seems like a snake and a bat. And it was passed over because bats are mammals. It was passed over to mammals. So it can possibly infect other mammals. Now, I think concentration for it needs to be really high for you to pass it. So I think it was like a soup that they were like drinking or whatever. So it was like a lot of germs to pass from one species to another, I believe. But I can't confirm that yes or no. And I can't tell you if you can get it from a cat or a dog.
Okay.
I've heard multiple things. I've heard some say that you can't. I've heard I've heard in Hong Kong they issued a warning saying that you should not like kiss your pet or anything because like you could get it from them.
Yeah.
Yep.
The only thing I saw was like,
side of precaution.
Is that just a joke meme that says like the World Health Organization said you can't get it from dogs, whatever? There's a meme that's going around that says like the World Health Organization said you can't get from dogs. So they literally were making the joke. You can say who let the dogs out. Like,
I literally just saw that.
But I thought that was like legitimate from the World Health Organization. I didn't know.
Thought it was too, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have info on that. I can investigate. As I come up with more news, I will make sure to communicate all via the channel. And again, I'm out tomorrow as well. I've taken this whole week to keep you guys safe and informed and make sure we're in the 1% most prepared rather than the 1% least prepared. Make sure we take care of all your personal and family health. And I'll continue to inform you. And if you do follow me on Instagram, it's just @TitoBort, really easy to find me. My profile is now open. It's usually closed, but right now it's open. I have a life story called Coronavirus. If you click on that, you can see from the beginning everything I've been sharing and posting and predicting. And literally like 2 days after I say something, it's happening because I'm getting information that's coming. Luckily, I found sources that are publicly explaining this on Twitter and places like that. And I'm getting it before it gets to the government, and the government will get it, analyze it, figure out how to play it, how to hide it, and then put it out. So if they decide to be fully transparent, it takes them 24 hours for all this info to come out. If they decide to be idiots like they have been over the past days, it's taking a week because they like hide it for 3 days and then it gets so bad that they revert. Like, oh yeah, this thing is gonna go away. I think is what Trump said like on Monday. By Wednesday, he was like, this is a big epidemic. And now France and Spain have declared that this is the worst health crisis in our lifetime, is what the Prime Minister of the UK has said already. And I think that if we don't contain it right now, it will be the biggest health crisis in the history of humanity, because our lifetime means from 1930. The Spanish flu was in 1918, which killed 50 million people. And if you want to go back to 13 something, the Black Plague killed 500 million people, I believe. So we are not yet at the Spanish flu levels, but we could be there unless we take action. And if we're like the most stupid society in the history of humanity, despite the advancements of technology and healthcare and all that, we will have another Black Plague here that will wipe out like maybe 10% to 20% of the population. It can get stupid because people will start dying from other things. Like, you have diabetes? Cool. Guess what? There's no beds in the hospital for 2 years. Complication? Sorry. Meds from China? No supply chain. The world's shut down. There's no cargo going anywhere. You want to buy diabetes medicine from somewhere else? It's produced in China. There's 100,000 patients who want it. Who's willing to pay more? Limited supplies. We're not producing. Nobody's in factories. This can get insane.
What confuses me a little bit is, I think it was in 2000 or so that, SARS was an issue, and SARS is also a type of coronavirus disease. How has this gotten so much worse than that situation was?
Yes,
do you know?
Really good question. We've had SARS and MERS, and there's two variables that determine how problematic these are, and coronavirus has the perfect measurement for it being the most deadly disease in the history that we've seen. SARS or MERS, one of these ones, had a really high death rate. If you got it, it was a 35% chance of dying, and you would die within 3 or 4 days. So each contagious patient would only get another 2 or 3 sick, and you couldn't transmit it unless you were feeling symptoms. So if you were feeling symptoms, they would identify you really quickly, isolate you, and maybe you've contained somebody or you've been contagious to somebody else. They've gotten it. Now they're in quarantine, and we're trying to save them, and they die. But you die so quickly that, one, you can be contagious, and the virus has a propensity to want to. It's just like humanity. You must have seen this in genetics. In genetics, you want to prolong not just your life, right? Your life doesn't necessarily matter as much, but you want to prolong humanity or your species. So you'll mutate to prolong the survival of your species. So when it comes to a virus like this infecting humans, if it kills you in 2 or 3 days, the mutations will make that the ones that don't kill you as quickly will mutate more. But because we're seeing so many early deaths at the beginning from the ones that were so deadly, we were able to control it all and shut it down before it mutated into a more deadly disease, which is less deadly on a case-by-case basis, is more deadly overall. And the second factor that really matters is the rate of contagion. How easily is this contagious? And there's a variable called the R0, which is how many people can you infect? And for SARS and MERS, that was a little bit over 1, right? And 1.01 to infinity equals infinity, and 0.99 to infinity equals 0, right? The exponential growth. So when you have a thing like SARS or MERS, which was very, very deadly and not super contagious, if you took some precautions, you could get your rate down from 1.5 to 0.8, and it will die down fairly quickly over the case of a few months. However, if with coronavirus, not only is it that you can spread it so easily, but the death rate is 3%, and it's only high for the elderly. So we have a lot of children that are infected that are running around infecting everybody else. And you're just getting infected and you don't know. And then eventually, it could be that a lot of the elderly start getting it, and then they will fill up the hospitals. And then that's what's happening. The elderly are filling up the hospitals really quickly, and then all the young patients are coming. And now the doctors are having to say, wait, I have a new ICU unit open. Who do I give it to? This elderly person who will either way die in like the next 10 years and they're in like really aggravated condition, or this young guy who's like feeling pretty bad, but in like 2 days we can get him recovered and free up the ICU unit again. And it's like, it will not only maximize the life of the patient, but it will also make more available units, allow us to take more cases. Let's go for the younger people. But it's the younger people who are going to kill all the old people. So it's our moral responsibility as fucking, I was just putting this on my Instagram. If you're a 28-year-old, we're like, I'm not going to die. I don't give a fuck. You're like the biggest idiot in humanity. You will kill every person you know over the age of 60 for being stupid. Just don't do that. Don't go out. Isolate yourself. Stay home. That's why it's so deadly.
So if literally we just don't go outside of our homes for the next 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks, what's the likelihood that we would contract?
If you clean up your mail, you keep washing your hands, and you take like good vitamins, you have I'd say less than 5% chance, less than 3% chance. I think it's very low. I can't like really do the math and tell you, but think about it this way. Like they're saying 50% of the country will get it. What you got to think about is the distribution of like smart versus stupid.
Right.
And the distribution of lucky versus unlucky. And overlay those two, add up your numbers and figure out where you are. You can't play with your luck. Your luck, you might be the most unlucky person in the world. You know what? Your mailman just fucking coughed on like all your mail. And when he threw it under your door, you grab it and you're like, oh, wow, this awesome package I just got. And you just inhaled coronavirus and you're fucking unlucky and you get it, right? Or you could be the luckiest guy in the world. You are partying it up all spring break. You're going out this weekend. You're like kissing 100 guys and girls all over the place. And you're like in the middle of the party. And then you come back home and holy cow, nobody got you sick. And like you can hold your breath for 30 seconds and nothing happens. So the only variable you can control is how smart or stupid you are. Be the smartest person you know.
Well, I've gotten to shitless scared, Tito.
As long as the scared take action.
Yep.
I'm telling you, the lion is coming to eat you.
Yep.
And now you have the choice. Will you be shitless scared and cry and wait for the lion? Or will you try to run faster than your friends, than your non-friends, than humanity, than the average population? And I just say, start taking steps. I'm going to facilitate that with the extra money for everybody to buy meds, with all the information, with all the research. And yeah, we'll get over this one.
If you were to go to Walmart, what would you wear just to stock up really quick? It was the weirdest Walmart trip of my life yesterday, by the way. Nobody was talking.
Avoid all contact with people who might be sick, or with all people.
I mean, gloves, mask. Yeah, just gloves, mask. That's what I mean.
If you have a mask, yeah, wear disposable gloves. Wear a mask. If you wear regular gloves, make sure you come back home, you throw it in the bin, and you wash them. Wash your clothes often. If you don't have a regular mask, you can grab. There's a quick video online of this lady that grabs disinfectant wipes and literally like cuts holes to put like 2 strings behind her ears, and you can wear a disinfectant wipe over your face. I think that's a fairly good idea. And then I would shop. I wouldn't like run around shopping. Not a good idea. But I wouldn't be thinking about like, okay, do I like this type of tuna better? Or how much oil does this tuna have over this other tuna? Like, just grab what you need to grab and head out. The less time you spend at the Walmart, the better you are. The risk of picking the wrong tuna, trivial. The risk of staying too long in Walmart and getting somebody to sneeze on your shoulder, really high negative returns on the second.
One tip to consider is a lot of stores like Walmart have the thing now where you can just order online. They'll have the order ready and you just go pick it up and walk out.
100%. I've done that for all my groceries. I'm using Instacart. It is not a lot more expensive to get them to shop it for you. I'm just pulling up, I'm opening my trunk, put all in there, and I'm out of here. you do pay 11% more. I did a fucking experiment on this 2 weeks ago. I'm so happy. Right? If you order delivery, it's 27%. If you just go pick up, it's 11. I could have totally paid the 27, but I also don't know who's handling my groceries, where they're touching them, whatever. I just want to go myself and see that they put it in the trunk, come back, unpack and wash my hands. I literally wash my hands on my face every time. Cool.
I haven't, like, maybe last question to end this. Like, I don't know if you've done research on this, but what are the possible ways out of this? Like, what do you think could happen to, like, for everything to be stable again?
The only thing that will take this away is lack of contagiousness. If you watch the 8-minute video that is in the general channel, you'll understand that very, very well.
Mm-hmm.
So it is isolation for several months that will get this out of us. Other things can help. A vaccine would be great, but here's the sad part. The flu vaccine is only 26 to 47% effective. So even if you were to get the vaccine, you still have a 50 to 75% chance of getting the flu. So that won't necessarily help too much. Now, vaccination is not for personal